the way it looks. This is Buick 1960. The turbine drive Buick 60.
In 1970, a man walked into a Buick dealership and ordered one of the fastest cars General Motors had ever built. 455 cubic inches, enough torque to embarrass a Hemi. A quarter-mile time that beat almost everything else on the lot. And then he gave it to his wife, as a grocery car. I'm not exaggerating for effect, this actually happened. One of the very first 1970 GS 455 Stage 1 hardtops ever built. One of the fastest production cars in America that year was bought new specifically to run errands and drive to the shops. That's not a story about a car being misunderstood. That's a story about a car being so completely disconnected from its own reputation that even the person who bought it didn't fully grasp what they had. For 50 years, that disconnect defined this car's entire existence. While the Chevelle SS and the Pontiac GTO became posters on bedroom walls, this Buick sat quietly in the background, respected by a small circle of people who actually knew what it could do, ignored by almost everyone else. Today, that's finally changing, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why a car nobody wanted new is now genuine garage gold. This is the story of the 1970 Buick GS 455 Stage 1. Why Buick was late to the muscle car war. To understand why this car got overlooked, you have to understand what Buick actually was in the American car market of the 1960s. Buick was the brand for people who had made it. Doctors, bankers, successful small business owners. It was positioned above Chevrolet and Pontiac, below Cadillac. Solid, respectable, quiet. Nobody bought a Buick to make a statement about speed. They bought a Buick because it was the reliable, comfortable choice for people who were past their reckless years. Then, in 1964, Pontiac's GTO changed everything. Suddenly, every GM division needed a performance answer or risk losing an entire generation of buyers to the muscle car craze. Buick's response was the Grand Sport, the GS, introduced in 1965. Early reviewers described the concept as taking a mid-size Skylark and turning it into what one contemporary writer called a howitzer with windshield wipers. A genuinely fast car wrapped in a body that gave away none of that speed. Through the late 1960s, the GS built a quiet reputation among people who paid attention, but it never captured the cultural spotlight the way the GTO or the Roadrunner did. Buick dealers simply didn't have the marketing machine or the dealer network experience to sell a genuine muscle car the way Pontiac and Plymouth did. Then came 1970. General Motors lifted its displacement ban on mid-size cars, and every division rushed to build their biggest, most powerful engine yet. Buick's answer was the 455 cubic inch V8, and specifically the Stage 1 performance package that turned it into something the entire muscle car establishment had to take seriously. Stage 1, the engine that embarrassed the Hemi. Here's what made the Stage 1 package genuinely remarkable, and why serious muscle car people have quietly respected this car for decades. The Stage 1 option cost just $199 on top of the standard GS 455. On paper, it looked unimpressive. The horsepower rating only climbed from 350 to 360. A 10 horsepower gain officially. That number alone would make anyone skip right past this car. But the real story wasn't in the horsepower rating. It was in the torque, and in what Buick's engineers actually did under the hood. Larger valves with stiffer springs, high-flow cylinder heads, a hotter camshaft, a specially tuned Rochester Quadrajet 4-barrel carburetor, cold air induction through twin functional hood scoops. The Stage 1 package delivered 510 pound-feet of torque, a number that, in 1970, very few production cars could match. When Motor Trend tested a Stage 1 GS 455 in January 1970, The results stunned even experienced test drivers. Quarter mile in 13.38 seconds at 105.5 miles per hour in a 1.8-ton Buick. Automotive writers who compared it directly to the competition didn't mince words. One later retrospective put it this way: even the insurance-indifferent 426th Street Hemi, which hadn't backed down one drop from its 425 horsepower claims made way back in 1966, didn't want to cross crankshafts with the GS battleship. That's not hyperbole from a Buick fan site. That's a direct comparison suggesting the Stage 1 could hold its own against the most feared engine in the muscle car era, in a straight line where it mattered most. The nickname that stuck with insiders was Banker's Hot Rod, a car with the visual restraint of a luxury sedan and the mechanical soul of a genuine street racer. It wasn't loud about what it could do, it just did it. Why dealers couldn't sell it to young buyers. So if the car was this capable, why didn't it sell? Why did Buick build a genuine muscle car and then struggle to move it off the lot? The answer comes down to image, marketing, and Buick's own sales network. Buick dealers did not have a lot of experience selling performance cars to young people. Because Skylark Grand Sports were premium priced and void of scoops, stripes, and wings, they didn't appeal to enthusiasts who wanted to make a statement. Think about what a young performance buyer in 1970 was looking for: loud paint, aggressive graphics, a car that announced itself in the school parking lot or at the drive-in. The GTO Judge had cartoon bright colors and rear spoilers. The Roadrunner had a cartoon bird and a horn that honked like Looney Tunes. The standard 1970 GS 455 Stage 1 had none of that. Clean lines, understated trim, twin hood scoops that most casual observers wouldn't even notice. It looked exactly like what it was built on top of: a respectable, mid-size Buick Skylark. The kind of car your accountant drove. Buick's own sales team seemed to recognize the problem because partway through the model year, they introduced the GSX, the flashy visual package with bold striping and bright colors aimed directly at capturing the enthusiast buyers the standard Stage 1 was failing to reach. We covered that car and its record-setting auction results back in video 1 of this series. But here's a detail that captures just how little confidence Buick itself had in this car's future desirability. When Buick built two Stage 1 prototype show cars for the 1970 auto show circuit, the plan afterward was to destroy them. Following assembly and preparation, it toured the auto show circuit and was then destined to be destroyed. A dealer intervened with the understanding that the cars were never to be sold. However, while the dealer was out of town, both show cars were sold, ensuring their survival today. The manufacturer's own plan for these cars, once their promotional purpose was finished, was the scrapyard. They only survived because a dealer disobeyed instructions. That's not a footnote. That's the entire story of this car's reputation in one sentence. Even the company that built it didn't fully believe in what it had made. The decades nobody cared. Through the 1980s, 1990s, and into the 2000s, the same pattern that hurt this car new continued to hurt it in the collector market. While the Chevelle SS and the Pontiac GTO built enormous cultural followings, fan clubs, dedicated magazines, appearances in movies and television, the Buick GS quietly sat outside that spotlight. It wasn't unknown to serious muscle car people. Registries existed, enthusiast clubs tracked surviving examples, but mainstream collector attention consistently passed it by. A retrospective published on this exact car put it bluntly in its own headline: 1970 Buick GS 455, GM's baddest muscle car that no one remembers. The article went on to note that these figures put the 1970 GS 455 Stage 1 in the same conversation as rivals like the 1970 Chevelle SS 454 LS6 and Pontiac GTO Judge. Yet the GS 455 remains a forgotten relic of the past, while the Chevy and Pontiac continue to bask in endless acclaim today. same performance tier, same era, same engineering ambition, completely different level of recognition. Part of the reason was simple math on Buick's own sales figures. Even Hagerty's own historical notes on this car acknowledge the pattern directly. While no single year of this generation of Buick GS sold particularly well in their day, they are now remembered as one of GM's premier muscle cars. That sentence contains the entire arc of this car's story. It didn't sell well when new because buyers didn't understand what it was. And it's only now, decades later, being properly remembered for what it actually accomplished. How it became garage gold, the current market. So let's look at what's actually happening with this car's value right now. According to recent Hagerty auction data, from late 2025 into 2026, sale prices for the 1970 Buick GS lineup have shown a wide but consistently climbing range. In October 2025, a documented GS sold for $143,000. In May 2026 alone, multiple examples changed hands. A GSX for $90,200, another GS for $67,100, and one for $77,000. Even a rougher, project-condition GS still brought $23,100 the same month, evidence that even entry-level examples are holding real value. That spread, anywhere from the low $20,000 for a project car to well over $140,000 for a documented, top-condition example, tells you this is a market that's actively being discovered and repriced, not one that's already settled. For the flashier GSX package, which we covered in Video 1, Classic.com puts the average sale price at $123,350, with a range stretching from $55,000 on the low end to $203,500 at the top. Here's the opportunity that most buyers haven't caught on to yet. The standard GS 455 Stage 1, without the GSX visual package, without the bold stripes and special colors, carries the exact same engine, the exact same performance, and the exact same engineering pedigree. But because it lacks the visual drama that catches a casual buyer's eye, it consistently trades at a discount to the GSX. A good, documented Stage 1 hardtop can often be found for meaningfully less than a comparable GSX. That's the same story that made this car undervalued in 1970, still playing out in 2026, just with a smaller price gap now than a $50,000 difference in showroom appeal. As younger collectors who don't carry the old "Buick is for grandparents" bias enter this market, and as the broader muscle car world continues rediscovering cars that were overshadowed by Chevrolet, Pontiac, and Mopar in their era, this gap is closing. The car nobody wanted new is becoming exactly what our channel name describes: genuine garage gold. Should you buy one? Honest verdict. So, should you buy one? Here's my honest take. If your budget sits in the $40,000 to $80,000 range, a documented standard GS 455 Stage 1 hardtop is, in my opinion, one of the most genuinely underpriced entry points into serious 1970 GM muscle car performance. You're getting an engine that legitimately competed with the Hemi in real-world testing, a genuine Motor Trend verified 13.38-second quarter mile, and a car with a production story that most people at any car show still won't recognize. If you have more to spend and want the visual drama plus the performance, the GSX in the $80,000 to $150,000 range gets you both, with the added benefit that GSX values have already been climbing faster since we covered that car's record sale of $236,500 in Video 1. One important warning specific to this car: because the GSX commands a significant premium over the standard GS 455 Stage 1, there is a real market for GSX clones, standard GS cars dressed up with the stripes, spoilers, and badging to look like the real thing. Before paying GSX money for any Buick, verify the trim tag and Fisher body plate through the Buick GS Club of America or a recognized Stage 1 registry specialist. A genuine GSX has documentation that a clone simply cannot replicate. My personal line on this car: it's proof that the muscle car market still has genuine value gaps left in it. Not in obscure, forgotten nameplates nobody has heard of, but in a car built by one of Detroit's most respected engine builders that happened to arrive wrapped in the wrong marketing. The 1970 Buick GS 455 Stage 1 is, in a lot of ways, the perfect car to represent what this entire channel is about. A car that was overlooked, underestimated, and quietly sitting in garages while the spotlight shined on louder, flashier rivals. And now, finally, getting the recognition it always deserved. That's American Garage Gold. That's the whole idea. I want to hear from you. Did you know about the GS 455 Stage 1's real performance numbers before this video? Or is this the first time you're hearing that a Buick genuinely competed with the Hemi? Drop it in the comments. And if you know of another overlooked, underrated muscle car that deserves this same treatment, tell me. A lot of the best video ideas on this channel come directly from viewer suggestions. If you're new here, we break down the real history and honest market data behind American muscle cars every single week. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next video.